Welcome to Prasad Pod. I am your host, Jarrell Prasad.
And I'm Paul Campbell.
We've been on a bit of a hiatus these past couple of weeks. Well, hopefully you guys have been, keeping up with all the current events that's been going on in the world. There seems to be a, uh, major divorce or breakup happening right now between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and that's what's, the big story in the news that everyone's talking about, that and the LA riots, protests or whatever. But we're just going to skip that and just stick to the Trump Elon stuff for now. Um, so right now, Paul's going to share his screen and he's going to talk about what's been going on.
Yeah, so it was really like if you've seen this tweet here, if you can see my screen,
Yep,
like
we got it.
it was like really strange to me that like Trump and Elon are best buds. Like Elon tweeted, I love Trump more than, any other man as, without being gay. It's, he's got like they're saying ridiculous. The slobbering love fest between the two of them was crazy for the 180 days he was a government, consultant or whatever it was. And as soon as he gets out, all of a sudden he is Trump's worst enemy and going berserk on Twitter. And the big
Yeah, and
bomb.
that change happened in like a week. He went from one week, I love Trump to he's the worst person in the world. He's on the Epstein list.
Yeah, and like I don't understand well let's get into that exactly. I don't understand how you would do such an about face. I mean, I remember when Trump's last tweet was I love Elon Musk or thank you Elon Musk or whatever it was, and then you see like Elon dunking on him and saying this stuff
Yeah, didn't
that
he
Trump
give
is
him the
on.
key to his heart?
Right, yeah, exactly. He gave him the key to the White House. And and now he's saying that Trump's on the Epstein list. That's why they won't release it. And so, which is brings up all sorts of questions. It's like, well, first of all, Elon, when did you know if you found that out? And I thought this was a really good point, is like if dear Elon, if you knew Trump was on the Epstein list, why did you become the biggest supporter and risk your reputation doing everything you could to get him elected? Why did you let your son hang around with him? You apparently decided to hide this info until he did something you didn't like. It's very strange, and so his motivations don't really seem like Elon Musk is a lot of things, but he is very calculating in what he does. I don't really view him as an overly emotional person. He's, very robotic kind of a guy.
Yeah,
But we're like I'm always trying to look for like I'm always obviously a conspiracy theorist, and I think a lot of stuff that we see on TV, even in the public eye, is just, kabuki theater, so to speak, or, like WWE, where you have, bad guys and good guys, baby faces and heels, and really they're all friends, at the end of the day.
yeah, this
So
is all a big distraction just to, have you look left while they're doing something right?
yeah, and this week they had some sort of deal with the AI company Palantir, which is people are freaking out about. My opinion on AI is it can be used for good or evil. It just depends who's wielding it, just like any other tool. Um, but one of the things I started to think about was like, well, like how do you unite the people? Like, well, I think everybody can agree that, we need to save the children and like help kids out. And, Republicans and Democrats agreed with that. And here the Democrats are now calling for the Epstein list to be released. And okay, well, if Trump has not he may be on a list, he may be not be on the list. I don't know, or whatever they call them, the Epstein files and all this. They're talking about the flight logs. That's what the Epstein list is. But if they have additional files, about Trump's involvement with Epstein, we, as the American people, have a right to know what that is because he's our president representing us. So we need to know what kind of character he has. And at the same time, I don't think he did anything wrong. We'll get to that in a second. But I think that if the Democrat people, the voting, the constituents start asking for the list to get released, a lot of really powerful Democrats are going to go down, and that actually helps Trump rather than hurts them. So I think that they're taking the bait. The Democrats are taking the bait. Meanwhile, Trump and Elon are getting along, and this is Elon doing Trump's bidding in the public eye, but really they're still friends. In the public eye, they seem like they're not friends. but here they are.
Yeah,
And
I mean it's too embarrassing, like the way that this fight or this breakup is happening. Yeah, I mean, for them to be tweeting out and acting childish and saying these things about each other right after, just gifting the key to the White House and everything, it's just it's a little too sus. And our audience, you should be a little more aware that things aren't always what they seem. When, they tell you one thing, it's usually because they're trying to do something else and distract you. And it's always usually just a distraction that they're keeping up. Like I don't think Trump and Elon are at odds. I think they're working you know, together behind the scenes. And eventually, they'll show their colors and be like, oh, we made up, just pay attention and look out for that for the day that Trump and Elon go, okay, we've made up and we're friends again.
yeah, the big makeup. It'll happen. And the reason I don't think Trump did anything with involving Elon in terms of nefarious activities with underage people is because Epstein's personal lawyer said he didn't. So this guy, David Schoen, said I was hired to lead Jeffrey Epstein's defense on his as his criminal lawyer 9 days before he died. He sought my advice for months before that. I can say authoritatively, unequivocally, and definitively that he had no information to hurt President Trump. I specifically asked him. And think about how this works. If the Democrats had anything on Trump, they would have used it to install their person, Kamala Harris. And at the end of the day, you just can't convince me otherwise. I think that if they had anything on Trump, it would have come out by now. And these Democrats are already the Democratic congressmen are always already calling for the Epstein files to get released. So they're taking the bait in real time. And there's a famous quote by Napoleon Bonaparte, you never interrupt your enemy's self-destruction. And I think that Trump is at this point having the Democrats call for their own self-destruction. And it's all playing out in our eyes with under the guise of Elon and Trump are no longer friends, doopity doo. Like, okay, what's really going on is they're trying to burn the Democrats. And I just wanted to bring that to light. And it's crazy, like you said, and I think we have some smart people who watch our show, but it's like, be on the lookout for these things. So whenever something doesn't smell right, guys go from being best friends and working together to, stop the deep state, and now they're complete enemies. I mean, there's also like all the things that Elon was retweeting that Trump used to say about cutting the budget and everything back in like 2012. We still want Trump to do that. And if that's rubbed in Trump's face and it gets a reaction out of him and he ends up cutting taxes and getting interest rates down and all this stuff, hey, that's good for the net good for the American people. We need lower interest rates and we need him to be held accountable just as much as anybody else to do the things that he was elected to do and make America great again. So
Yeah.
I think this is all a net good thing.
And the whole core of this, very public breakup is that Elon disagrees with the big, beautiful bill that Trump, has trying to get passed. And it basically undercuts everything that, Elon said, him and the Doge Department of Government Efficiency did, which was, save the taxpayers billions of dollars in unnecessary spending with fraud, waste, and abuse. And with that, we're not getting any refund checks, guys. I definitely don't see that happening, and I think this is a big distraction also to, you know, showcase that we're not getting any refund checks as well, because it should be I think I saw a video where it said it should be about $1,100 a person calculated for everyone as a refund from the money that was saved by the Doge, and that money's not going to come back. This very public breakup is just to keep you focused on something else and not the money that's supposed to be coming back to your pockets. And the bill increases the deficit even more, which undercuts everything that the Doge did. So Elon has a valid argument on his side to, not want this bill to go push through and have it changed. But I mean, it also brings up the question, uh, how much say does campaign contributors and billionaires have with the running and spending of our country's funds and running of our country's Oval Office. So it's very it's right now it's set up to distract you guys, and you got to focus on the real issues. Just pay attention to the cues. And a couple of weeks ago when Trump was in Dubai, he did say it was still a good time to buy stocks and a good time to invest. And I still think it is, that all the stuff here is to distract you and you know have you focusing on other stuff, thinking, oh man, the market's gonna crap. Like the crypto market was kind of crashing when the feud started.
Hmm.
And it's starting to recover a little bit this weekend, but it's kind of like stagnant. But you got to pay attention to it. The USDC stablecoin company Circle went public uh, on what was it, Thursday or Friday, and
Yeah.
within 24 hours, the stock price went up like 285%. That's crazy, right? It
Yeah.
went from $31 to like $191. So, um, stuff you got to pay attention to. You got to know, like, take advantage of these shenanigans that that are going on with uh with the White House. Whenever they put all of these news and stuff, it's to affect public opinion, it's to affect the stock market, it's to affect the crypto market. So you just got to know, kind of like follow the trends and know when to buy. Like I still believe this is a good time to just keep accumulating. Don't sell, buy, and hold whatever free funds and income that you have. If it's throwaway money, if you have $100 you could just buy stocks or crypto with and just forget about, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and they're definitely distracting from the new financial system coming online. And even the thing is, they'll give you little hints here and there about, like you said, it's a really good time to buy. It is a really good time to buy because the laws for the crypto, the digital revolution that's happening in the banking and in the finance field, they haven't come online yet. And just like, which was a great example, you just brought up the Circle went up 200% in their stock valuation. That's what's going to happen with all of these mega crypto companies. And I don't like, we don't really know the timeline. I wish I did. If I did, I would tell you when, XRP would be worth a lot of money. But we can see these things happening and, there are landmarks for getting closer to our destination. And I still think that these sort of, distractions happen because they don't want you knowing about the greatest financial transfer of wealth ever to take place, in the history of the country.
Yeah, there's going to be a shift happening, and it's going to be happening in our lifetime, in our generation, probably within the next 5 years. And you're going to see a big transfer of wealth. There's going to be new millionaires, billionaires, and even trillionaires. And what they don't want you to know is all the people that are in the back end taking advantage of this situation, all these big companies buying in and stuff. They're telling you to look over to the left whilst they're over at the right side buying in. You know, they're buying XRP up right now, and they don't want you to know that.
Yeah.
But
Don't
some
get
information is becoming public.
and don't get distracted by the dumpster fires, you know. So let's uh, let's talk about information becoming public because we need to look at these road stops on the way to our destination because we don't really know what the calendar dates are going to be for the laws. But there's some new things, developments in the and things that we should be looking for in terms of new developments in the crypto sphere. So there's this Twitter account, Vincent Scott here. He went to Ripple Las Vegas where they had the big XRP convention, and he asked David Schwartz at Joel Katz, as his Twitter handle, this question. David asked if what Ripple built a financial system wherein the unit of account, RLUSD, transmit over a decentralized method of payment, the XRPL, through the means of exchange XRP as either gas or money processor to convert. And David said, yes, you can consider these things a financial system. And he shook his hand and walked away. So, and then later in the day, David Schwartz actually doubled down and responded to this tweet. So this exchange happened again. Happened in Las Vegas. I mean to say, people were doubting whether it's real, but no, the man himself did respond to Vincent, and he confirmed. I did say that you could consider the XRPL together with other things Ripple has built to be a financial system. I hope over the next few years it can provide a significant fraction of the financial services that people need every day for payments, to investments, to loans. And so David doubled down, and it's really encouraging as an XRP maximalist to see him saying, we're building the new financial system. And agree, yes, I can't tell you that we're building the new financial system, wink, wink, but I can say we just happen to have built one, right?
Yeah.
And Jarrell, you can start sharing now. You have some examples of what we want to look for the, you know, goal line, or goal posts or whatever you want to call them, towards the destination of the new financial system running on the XRP ledger and utilizing XRP, in which case the value of XRP would need to be significantly higher than it.
Okay. All right. So I asked OpenAI, ChatGPT, um, w- what are some of the catalysts that need to take place in order to see significant price movement in XRP? And they gave me about ten items here, um, as catalysts that need to happen for XRP to take place. So the first thing that they said was a resolution of the SEC versus Ripple case, a final ruling or settlement. So that's basically already happened. So we can basically cross this one off. We're just waiting for it to be said and done with. We're waiting for Judge Torres to approve the dismissal of the case and basically rule that XRP um, can be sold to institutions and the injunction to be removed. Once the injunction is removed, everything's all settled and done with, and Ripple will pay their $50 million fine to the SEC, and they'll pay it in XRP, and that money will go to a strategic XRP reserve, and Bob's your uncle. That would be, the big major catalyst that we're waiting for. So the second thing AI said was relisting on major U.S. exchanges. XRP is currently limited, uh, but they provided some examples of exchanges: Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini. I'm pretty sure XRP is on Coinbase.
It's on all of those, yeah. So,
It's
but
on all of
there
those.
it could be on a lot more. It's still, considering how popular it is, it's underrepresented on exchanges relative to Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah. So what we're really looking for here in this portion is for XRP to actually be listed not on just these exchanges, but on like uh, investing companies like Charles Schwab. Like you can go to your Charles Schwab portfolio and purchase XRP, or you can go and convert your 401k to XRP. I think that's one of the major things we're looking for is whenever they make it legal for you to convert retirement funds and Roth IRAs into XRP. That would be the big thing we're looking for, not really
Well,
relisting on major exchanges.
there are certain companies that will do that, but yeah, the small niche companies will do that, which is fine. Like, but the real money, the Franklin Templetons, the Fidelities, that's who you want to get in. They're not in right now, and once they are, they're gonna. That's a huge, because they're going to have to buy, and there's only so much that's on the exchanges. There's a limited amount. There's only 50 something billion of them that are even on exchanges, and that's it.
Yeah. So, number three is broader U.S. regulatory clarity on crypto. So, events to watch is finalization of crypto-specific legislation in Congress, SEC's evolving stance post-Ripple case, greater investor confidence in inflows of institutional capital. So, uh, there's I forgot what it was called, the bill that's coming up soon.
The Stable Act
Yeah, the
and then the
Stable Act.
Genius Act.
Yeah, the Genius Act, that's what it's called. The Genius Act. So that's basically this. So once that Genius Act here is passed, that'll be fulfilling this
Mhm.
prophecy here. And then you can also see I think it's going to take a number of these things to happen, not just one specific thing.
Mhm.
You might see like, 10 or 20 cents increase once things start getting crossed off. But to see like, that, 15, 20, $50, $100 XRP, you need all these things to fall into place. So you need wider adoption of RippleNet, on-demand liquidity. Ripple Products uses XRP for real-time cross-border payments, targets Latin America, Asia Pacific, Africa, and impact increases XRP's utility and demand in real-world finance. So another thing is Chinese company is creating a strategic XRP reserve for like $300 million, and they just proposed that to the SAC. So that's basically once you see that actually enacted, and these strategic XRP reserves, they're going to start popping up all over the globe, or the flat Earth, and then you know. Once those XRP reserves pop up in different countries, then you're going to see major increases, more liquidity coming into the ledger, more use cases. So, and then Ripple's IPO or major institutional partnerships, like we were saying earlier, Circle went ahead and IPO'd. I know they were in talks with Ripple for recently for Ripple to acquire Circle. I don't know how likely that's going to happen now that Circle made public, or that's what Ripple was waiting for Circle to go public and have an actual realistic evaluation on their actual price. So, but Ripple has, you know, 50, 50 million or billion. What is it? How much is it?
Yeah, well, the 52 million or billion, excuse me, are on exchanges of XRP. The rest, like the 48 billion remaining, is in escrow accounts that Ripple manages. So basically, like with your example of Circle earlier, like they went from a $30 company to a $200 company in one day. They manage like I think 200 billion Circle tokens or something like that, which are each worth a dollar. Ripple manages billions of RLUSD as well as billions of XRP. So just under its, auspices of its, the function, the total net asset value of what it manages, you're looking at several hundreds of billions of dollars. So if you're the stuff you have in your pocket is worth several hundreds of billions of dollars, then what are you worth, right? So I think the company, when they IPO, their price is going to be astronomical. I can't wait to invest in Ripple stock because whatever you're paying for it is going to be cheap relative to where it's going to go.
Yeah, so take note of what Circle did. Circle did 285% within 24 hours. They opened up at 9 o'clock on the closing bell, and they opened up or opening bell, and they opened up at $31. And 24 hours later they were up to like $191. So um, if that's any indication, when Ripple IPOs, eventually that's something that, you can see happening, uh, especially once the SEC lawsuit is finally completely over and done with, and that injunction is removed. Then you'll see Ripple IPO, and then I think that stock will be just as valuable as XRP to start scooping up, because yeah, it could only go up from whatever it enters into the market with.
Hmm.
So the next thing is bullish sentiment and a crypto bull run. So general market cycles, XRP often follows macro trends. Bitcoin, Ethereum, all season typically sees massive gains for large cap altcoins like XRP. So yeah, whenever you see Bitcoin move up, and right now Bitcoin's like a store of value. I don't see ETH moving up that much, but ETH may move up. Well, they say when ETH does move up, that's really the start of the bull run.
Hmm.
When you see the price of that move up, XRP will generally move up. What we really want to see is a decoupling from Bitcoin and Ethereum. We want to see XRP move without Bitcoin having to move up or Ethereum having to move up. We want to see a separation there and XRP acting and standing on its own two legs. So, increased liquidity and integration with payment platforms. So, integration with fintechs like PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, etc. Greater transactional usage leads to organic demand. So, with X payments coming up, I'm pretty sure they're probably either going to use XRP or XLM. It's highly unlikely that they would use Doge, even though Elon Musk is a big Doge person. But I think this whole feud with Trump is him kind of like distancing himself from Doge,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not just the company, not just like the Department of Government Efficiency, but the coin. So I mean, it's a good way for him to say, hey, look, I don't want nothing to do with Doge. I'm gonna go with XRP. And XRP would be the perfect cryptocurrency for him to use for X payments. And then you'll start seeing Visa card, Master, and all the other payment platforms use and integrate XRP. So the eighth one here is CBDC integration with XRP Ledger. Ripple's efforts working with several countries on CBDC pilots. If any country uses XRP or the XRP Ledger for CBDC settlement, it would be a major credibility and utility milestone. So I know the US said the CBDCs, they're kind of like they banned pretty much banned the
Well,
CBDC.
what they banned is basically banks printing their own digital currencies, including central banks, because it all has to be issued from the Treasury. They don't want independent company or private companies issuing their own currencies because then it would just be a madhouse, right? So CBDCs, but it's really kind of like 6 to 1, half dozen the other. Like it's like really, what are we talking about? Because all these other countries want CBDCs. They want their own, whatever country other than America, whatever currency they want. They want a central bank digital currency. The United States doesn't want to use a central bank digital currency. They want to use something that's treasury backed, is what it looks like Trump is pushing towards. But really, that's just like kind of noise because at the end of the day, it's all going to be transacting on the XRP ledger. And with all of the partnerships it has with all these different countries, and Ripple is partnered with different central banks across the world. I mean, they're all going to be trading in XRP anyway. So as soon as they get online and they start trading, and lending to each other using XRP to facilitate their payments, I mean, that's just America doesn't use CBDCs, okay, every other country will be anyway. So they're all going to be running on XRP due to its efficiencies. So it's okay if US doesn't use XRP or excuse me, doesn't use
CBDC.
CBDCs
Yeah.
because everybody's going to be using XRP.
Yeah. So tokenization and DeFi on the XRP ledger. So development of native DeFi features and tokenized assets. Projects like Hooks, XLS 30, AMM, Evernode. I'm not really familiar with that one. Uh,
I don't know what Evernote is, but the AMMs are basically an automated moneymaker. So you
yeah,
can be your own bank and loan people your XRP and they'll pay you interest for it.
yeah. So and when they start tokenizing real world assets on the XRPL, that's what you're going to be really looking for, when they actually link like gold and diamonds and stuff like that to XRP.
Yeah. And from what I understand, hooks is some sort of clawback, update or software. So if like somebody who's a terrorist or whatever was using XRP and then they figured out they were paying somebody for a bomb, they could hook back in that XRP and stop that transaction. That's all that is. So, but
Yeah.
it's something that's good that banks are going to want because banks are highly regulated. They don't want bad actors using using banks. So that's just more software updates that are catered to Ripple's customer base and what they need to adopt XRP to be compliant in their industry.
Yeah, and we're also getting real world assets like real estate being tokenized and added to the XRPL. So that's going to be a big one, big real estate development happening, and I'm excited for that. So the last thing here that AI says needs to happen before we see significant price increase is burn mechanisms or supply reduction. So that this goes hand in hand with the uh, market cap theory, but personally, I feel that market cap has nothing to do with the price of XRP because um, XRP is a commodity. It's not a security. You can't sit there and tell me what the market cap for coffee is because we don't know how much the supply is. The supply could be infinite for coffee. It's just how much ever you can grow. So, but we do know the maximum supply of XRP, and that's 1 billion tokens. But according to this, it says currently XRP has a fixed supply with a small burn per transaction. If Ripple implements additional mechanism, large-scale burns, it could create upward price pressure. So XRP, they do release their escrow every month, and they are burning tokens per transaction. XRP is designed to last 100 years, so it's not designed to go away. It's supposed to, at least what is it, 1,000 years? I think it's 1,000 years, right? It,
It's going to take so long for it to run out that we wouldn't need the technology anymore by the time it ran out. And really the point of the burning is like all of the 9 points we brought up before, those are all going to burn XRP because every single time you use it for a transaction, it burns one thousandth of an XRP, and you can use it or yeah, you can use it a million times or something like that. I've read the white papers. I'm sorry I didn't memorize them, but basically every time you send it back and forth, it burns a little tiny bit, but it's enough to mean that the value will go up over time because it's a scarcity model, and it's disinflationary, which is very good because they can just keep printing money, and that's what the Fed has been doing. You can't make any more XRP. And in case something horrible does go wrong, where let's say a glitch happens and they burn way more XRP than they think, well, you can turn that feature off too. It's not like that's always going to be there, but it is another catalyst for price adoption and for the or, not price adoption, price appreciation. And even on all 10 of these perfectly valid data sets for what we're looking for XRP adoption. It didn't even mention ETFs.
yeah,
We talked about investments and big banks getting in. Well, there's still 18 exchange traded funds, and we're gonna that have filed with the SEC, and we're waiting to hear back with for them to when they get approved. Because if each one is worth a billion XRP, that's XRP that's coming off the market, scarcity, price goes up.
yeah. And I think that plays into number four here and number six. So more on-demand liquidity and into the crypto bull run. So that increased liquidity and number seven as well, increased liquidity within integration. So once those ETFs start going active and once they get approved, go active, and the income starts flowing into the XRPL, you're really going to see price increase. But this was AI's list for their catalyst of what it's going to take for XRP to move up significantly. So you could take that with, how many ever grains of salt you want, but I think some of it may be accurate, but like Paul said, it didn't mention the ETFs at all, and I think the ETFs, once those get approved, you're really going to see some magic there. So, all
Yeah.
right, guys, it's been really fun here. That's our episode for today. Uh, you know, like I said, none of this is financial advice. Just pay attention to the information yourself. You know, keep your eyes open, and don't let them fool you with what's going on in the news, what's happening. Just stay vigilant, and uh, if you have disposable income, you know, instead of, buying something ridiculous that you're not going to need, or something perishable, invest in your future, invest in long term, something stable like XRP. And um, that's it for Prasad Pod. You guys have a good one.